December 2019, Wuhan, China was plagued with the first known case of a new mysterious coronavirus. As this virus spread throughout the city of Wuhan, tourists and citizens coming in and out of the city were spreading this virus throughout the planet, and in the upcoming months would be infecting more people on every continent, leaving bodies in its wake. It wasn't until December 31st that the World Health Organization was informed about this new strand of coronavirus. Why did it take so long to alert the public? Why was this kept a secret? What were the Chinese government trying to hide? The first case of this virus was on December 8th, 2019 in Wuhan, China. The patient developed pneumonia-type symptoms. In the beginning, no one knew what this was, only that the structure of the virus and the symptoms were similar to SARS. On December 31st, China alerted the World Health Organization about the severe pneumonia cases they were having, and on January 7th, the identification of the virus was known to be COVID-19. On January 11th was the first known recorded death in China. On January 1st, the Wuhan wholesale seafood market was shut down. Now this would be the location where the virus apparently originated from.
The virus was detected in 33 of the 585 samples, and 31 of the 33 positive samples came from the western area of the market.
The Wuhan Sells Seafood Market is a wet shop. This is where the people of China would sell fresh meat along with exotic animals, such as giant salamanders, baby crocodiles, and even raccoon dogs. What makes a wet market an ideal place for coronavirus to grow is the way the animals are kept. The animals are kept in cages on top of each other, real close, closer than what they should be, and some are even tied up. The wet markets are poorly regulated on how the animals are kept and are slaughtered, giving it a perfect opportunity for the virus to jump from an illegal wildlife animal to the human population. After the World Health Organization identified the virus to be known COVID-19 and closing down of the wet markets, the first known death in China was on January 11th, spreading to Thailand on January 13th. After about a whole month of the virus spreading around China, Wuhan was finally put in quarantine. The railways and air transportation were all closed down. Temperature checks, masks, people held up in their houses. Wuhan was basically a ghost town, with little exceptions, with getting the essential supplies to survive. The infection rate in Wuhan skyrocketed even with being on quarantine. The hospitals were over capacity, so much that the people were waiting in the hallways for hospital beds and ventilators, with some even dying while they waited. Some didn't even make it to the hospitals. Some people fell over in the streets and died. The death toll rose to about 132,000 in a month.
The original post has since been taken down. The woman says medical workers and patients were stuck with 3 dead people in a packed hospital corridor, and that there was no leader and no one to take care of the bodies.
The coronavirus is much like the common cold virus. It can infect your nose, sinuses, and even your upper throat. These types of viruses are spread through respiratory droplets in an infected person's cough, sneezes, or even talking. But the difference between a coronavirus and the flu is the coronavirus can spread between animals and humans. A coronavirus originates from an animal. There are about 7 coronaviruses in the world, with 3 major types that are deadly: MERS, SARS, and COVID-19. It took a whole month for the Chinese government to finally say something about the virus to the World Health Organization and to the rest of the world. The only thing that we were told before this were from video clips and doctors coming out on the internet talking about it, on what was going on and trying to spread the word. But those didn't last long because of the censorship in China.
My purpose is to make sure that all of this information is not lost or deleted.
因为我们是不知道官方什么时候会把什么帖子删掉的，所以我们都是在跟官方比速度。
我们要保存我们的个体的记忆也好，或者是一种集体的记忆也好。
When all this started, the Communist Chinese government ordered silence, taking down videos, articles, anything that mentioned such thing as a virus in Wuhan. When it comes to freedom of speech in China, well, there's no such thing as freedom of speech in China. This even goes for social media apps. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube are all banned. When the citizens of Wuhan started posting videos on what was really going on with the virus, they were soon taken down. As you can see, some of the videos show people being forced out of their homes, and some even having their doors welded shut. You could hear the screams of people yelling for help, but no one came. Dr. Li Winglang, I'm going to call him Dr. Li, was one of the first doctors to come across the virus. Dr. Li tried to warn his fellow colleagues, but no one took him seriously. He did the next best thing and went to the internet, posting his findings about the new mysterious disease. Quote, 7 people are in quarantine. The symptoms are similar to SARS, and doctors should consider wearing protective equipment to prevent the infection. End quote. After his post went viral, he was labeled the whistleblower. 4 days after the post spread over the internet, the Wuhan police showed up to his house, accusing him of making false claims of a deadly virus and disturbing the peace. He was forced to sign a statement discrediting his claims and findings. Soon after that, Dr. Li was admitted to the hospital for the virus and then passed away on February 7th, 2020, at the age of 34. Me personally, I consider him a hero for speaking out about this and trying to warn people.
In China, there's an outpouring of grief and anger. People are mourning the doctor who died yesterday after putting out an early warning about the coronavirus outbreak. Dr. Li Wenliang contracted the virus last month, and back in December, he noticed a number of patients with symptoms resembling SARS. That's when he tried to warn people on social media to take protective measures. Chinese social media users have posted demands the government apologize to Dr. Li using the hashtag #WeWantFreedomOfSpeech. Many of those comments have now been censored.
Now, have you heard of Dr. Ang Feng? She is a director of the emergency department of Central Hospital in Wuhan. She was one of the whistleblowers that tried to warn the authorities about the SARS-type virus spreading. She was told to keep quiet and was forbidden to talk about it in the hospitals. She had to change her diagnosis of her patients to cover it all up. After a while, she couldn't take it no more and went public to talk about the cases. Quote, the patients who died in the emergency room department were all undiagnosed and not considered confirmed cases. The virus is transferred with human-to-human contact. End quote. Her interview was censored within 3 hours of airing, and shortly after, she disappeared. Do you remember what was going on in Hong Kong before the coronavirus? When the streets were filled with people protesting and rioting? Now, Hong Kong is part of China, but is controlled by the People's Republic of China. They have their own basic laws. Mid-2019, Hong Kong was facing protests and riots in the streets. The reason were these protests and riots were for the Fugitive Offenders Amendment Bill. This bill allows Hong Kong the ability to extradite and detain people that are wanted in other countries, even if there's no extradition agreements. Human rights activists say that this bill will allow those that are extradited exposed to illegal systems that use unorthodox methods, such as torture, unfair trials, etc. Now, I'm not sure if anybody remembers back in 2014 with prisons and camps in China, illegally obtaining organs from the prisoners for organ transplanting.
After a year-long investigation, an independent People's Tribunal has unanimously concluded that prisoners of conscience are being killed in China to sell their organs on a significant scale. The forcible extraction of organs from living prisoners of conscience to use for transplant surgery and profit is known as forced organ harvesting.
Not that far from the Wuhan wholesale seafood wet market is a laboratory called the Institute of Virology. Now, this is where things start to get strange. The scientists tested the virus and matched it to a bat coronavirus with a 96% match. And that match doesn't match any local bats in the area, except in the Institute of Virology, and 500 miles away where the bats originate from in Yunnan. The bat that the researchers claim the virus comes from isn't sold in the Wuhan wholesale seafood wet markets. They don't even eat bats in Wuhan. This video of a girl eating a bat was not taken in Wuhan. It was also published years before the virus outbreak. Shortly after all the rumors about the virus coming from a virology lab, the Chinese Communist government tightened security on who goes in and out of the building, along with tighter safety precautions on information being released from the lab and how they handle their viruses. The theory is that the Chinese government let the virus out to the public to gain control back over their people and put it in to the protests and riots. It also put the citizens in fear going out in public, scared that they're going to catch the virus. Letting the virus loose to regain control also comes with another advantage. By keeping the virus quiet, it was able to spread around the world, getting the economy to crash slowly and then rapidly plummet, leaving the market open for China to come in and buy whatever they needed to gain control. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below from a video by Project Nightfall. It explains all about it. Here's a quick clip.
Now, the coronavirus situation has very conveniently placed China as the world leader. While many countries still struggle, China, the one who started the virus, quickly managed to contain the situation, and now they have a huge economic advantage over other countries.
With all this information out there about the virus and what is going on, it's really hard to believe what is true and what is not true. Me personally, it's hard for me to trust the officials and fact checkers when they're all in alliance with each other, pushing one way to sway your judgment. When coincidences line up, it's no longer a coincidence, it's evidence.